Study in Sweden. If you want your opinions to be heard, you like taking initiative and a little snow doesn't scare you off, then the go-to country for your studies must be Sweden. Long time ago, a country of barbaric Vikings, nowadays Sweden, has polished its manners, and nothing proves it more than the fact that the Swedish higher education system ranks second in the world. Did we mention cutting-edge research and real-world challenges in multicultural academic communities? To get a better picture about what's like studying in Sweden, you need to know that the education here is more about self-development through student groups and independent studies. Let's try and see the details behind this big picture. Student visas for Sweden. Because you're a national of Sweden, you'll be thrilled to discover that you don't need a visa to study in Sweden. Still, that doesn't mean you can just pack up and leave for Sweden. You will still need to arrange a few things. Health insurance. This means you have to do some research to find out if you have to pay it beforehand, or if you're required to have a certain amount of insurance coverage per year. Money for tuition and living costs. This may vary depending on your chosen university, the degree program you decided to study in, or, even, the region and city in Sweden. Residence permit. This will have to be renewed every 1 or 2 years. So, pay attention to that, and mark it with red in your calendar. You'll be able to apply for the residence permit once you get a fixed address in Sweden. Make sure you provide all the required documents and leave enough time to wait for your permit. Awesome on-campus accommodation. You can easily rent an apartment with other students, and spend the next 3 years debating who should wash which dishes. Your plane ticket. The sooner you book it, the less you'll have to pay for it. Sure, those won't be that easy to get. But, hey! At least you skipped the student visa part, so that's something, isn't it? Don't forget you are also allowed to work during your studies. Usually, students who are EU nationals studying in an EU country don't have any work restrictions. Others are generally allowed to work for up to 20 hours per week. Just make sure to check what the law in Sweden has to say about that before looking for a job. What else can we say but good luck and never forget to have fun during your studies. Work permits for Sweden. If you are from Sweden, you won't need to prepare and apply for a work permit. How to apply to a master's in Sweden. If you've decided to study a master's degree at a university in Sweden, you will have to gather the right documents to prove that you fit the university requirements. Provide complete personal information, previous qualifications, financial information, and a personal statement. What documents do I need to provide to apply in Sweden? To apply to a university in Sweden, you will likely be asked to provide some of the following documents. Birth certificate, recent photos, letter of intent, your passport or identity card, copies of past diplomas or certificates, including your graduated bachelor's degree, academic transcripts. Depending on the subject or specialization of your chosen master's, you might also be asked to provide scores for additional tests like the GRE, GMAT or LSAT. Check if your program requires any of these, or others. The list of documents depends on the specific requirements of universities in Sweden, so you might be asked to include additional documents. It's also likely you'll have to provide official English translations of your documents, or translations in the local language. Prove your English skills. Because you'll study an international degree in English, you'll have to present a language certificate. Some popular options for international students are IELTS, TOEFL or C1 advanced language certificates. You'll have to meet a minimum language score set by the university, and your test scores shouldn't be older than 1 to 2 years. If you don't meet the minimum language requirements, you will have to improve your skills and scores by taking an English preparation course. Application deadlines for Sweden. The deadlines for applying to a master's in Sweden are usually during summer, June to July, or in winter, January to February. Keep in mind that some universities don't have application deadlines, which means you can apply whenever you are ready. To avoid delays or missed deadlines, send your required documents with plenty of time in advance. Why study in Sweden? 1. It's free for most European students. That's right. If you come from the European Union, EU, or the European Economic Area, EEA, you don't have to pay any tuition fees to study at public universities in Sweden. And this is great news because you can use the money you save to cover living costs, which are above the European average. 2. Freedom, equality, and sustainability. These are the 3 core values of the Swedish society and citizens. These values are reflected in all aspects of life, including work, education, the natural environment, and so on. Swedes will do as much they can to provide you with the support and resources you need to achieve your academic, professional, personal, or any other goal. 3. Sweden is the best example of eco-friendliness. If you're environmentally conscious, you'll love living here. Sweden has been investing in the well-being and preservation of nature for a long time now. It represents an example of what any nation can do through involvement and commitment. For instance, by 2040, Sweden aims to achieve 100% renewable energy production. 4. Open and progressive mentality. Sweden is one of those wonderful places where you don't have to worry about being different or not fitting it. They embrace everybody regardless of their personal choices or background. Stockholm, for example, is often considered as one of the most open cities in the world. 5. English is widely spoken. Over 80% of Swedes speak English, which makes it super easy to interact with them whenever you need help or simply want to enjoy a small chit-chat. Still, we recommend learning at least the basics of Swedish, the most common words, for those rare cases when you meet someone who doesn't speak the English language. Which universities and colleges to attend in Sweden? Sweden is home to over 35 universities and university colleges, and they all offer degree programs according to European standards. Start your search for a dream Swedish university with one of these universities we recommend. Linnaeus University, Jönköping University, University of Borås, World Maritime University, Uppsala University. What is it like to study in Sweden? Studying in Sweden is likely to make you feel relaxed. Yes, students need to work hard, and expectations are high, but the higher education system is also very flexible and informal. Popular student pastimes include team sports, cultural societies, and outdoor activities, performed very well dressed. There's also a great nightlife, with clubs and bars dotting Sweden's cities, and student unions organizing evenings out. What to study in Sweden? Swedes are great with cars, great with IT, and great with the environment. So, it's not hard to guess which are some of the most popular study areas in Sweden. These are: computer science degrees in Sweden, engineering degrees in Sweden, arts degrees in Sweden, environmental studies in Sweden, cultural studies in Sweden. Where to study in Sweden? Sweden is a great place to live and study. From buzzing larger cities like Stockholm, Gothenburg or Malmö, to cozy university towns like Uppsala and Lund, there's a place for every taste in Sweden. Whether you end up close to the Arctic Circle in Luleå or bumping shoulders with continental Europe in Malmö, you'll find accessible towns with extensive public transport and bustling student scenes. So, check and pick one of the Swedish cities below, like study in Stockholm, study in Göteborg, study in Uppsala. In Sweden, applications for bachelor's and master's programs are processed through a central application service, universityadmissions.se. Still, you can also apply directly through the university and program websites. The general application documents required are identification document, record of completed upper secondary education, translated into English, university records, translated into English, proof of language proficiency, motivation letter, CV, sample of academic writing, recommendation letters from professors and employers, helpful ways to make sure you qualify for a Swedish university. Try a pre-MBA, pre-law, or pre-medicine program, as well as any other foundation or preparation courses that will allow you to study in the degree program of your choice. If you're attending a degree program in Sweden, you will need to prove that your language skills are good enough to participate in the classes and understand the lectures. These courses will also prepare you for any of the English language tests that universities require. English language tests. English is a must-have in Sweden, seeing how many bachelor's and master's programs are taught in this language. Swedish universities accept as proof of your language skills. High school studies taught in English, Swedish. Previous university studies taught in English, Swedish. English language certificates. TOEFL, IELTS, private academic, C1 advanced or C2 proficiency. Tuition fees in Sweden. In Sweden, students from the EU, EEA, Switzerland, or other Nordic countries do not have to pay tuition, but only an application fee of around €100. Students from non-EU, EEA countries pay tuition fees of €7,500 minus €25,500 per year. Some business degrees can cost over €30,000 per year. Naturally, fees vary depending program and degree type, so be sure to check them when looking for study options in Sweden. Accommodation, housing, food and other expenses. Living costs in Sweden are not exactly a bargain, but in this country, paying more really means getting more in return, in terms of quality of life. The monthly student budget here is around €700 minus €1,200 per month, out of which some of the most common expenses are monthly rent, €250 minus €700. Utilities, €90 minus €130. Monthly shopping cart, groceries, €210. A meal at an affordable restaurant, €10. Monthly transport pass, €80. Interesting facts about Sweden. But don't let that fool you. Sweden isn't only about pop culture. In fact, the country prides itself with a great tradition of monarchy and one of the highest gender equality rates in the world. Ready for some more facts that will make you smile while reading?